Imagine a society where a child's future is determined solely by their parents' wealth or the neighborhood they were born into. Picture a world where public education is no longer a guaranteed right, but a privilege reserved for the affluent. Such a dystopian reality could become our future if the United States Department of Education were dismantled. The role of the federal government in education is not just important, it is vital to ensuring equity, quality, and opportunity for all. Without this critical oversight, the consequences would be devastating. With this, we would see two profound outcomes: the exacerbation of educational inequality and severe long term economic repercussions. The first major consequence of dismantling the Department of Education would be a dramatic increase in educational inequality across the United States. Federal funding provided by the department is critical for leveling the playing field, particularly for students from low income families. Programs such as Title I ensure that schools serving large populations of disadvantaged students have the resources to meet their needs. According to the United States Department of Education, Title I funding serves over 25 million children annually, allocating $15 billion to improve education in underprivileged areas. This funding supports everything from basic infrastructure to critical learning programs, giving students in struggling districts a chance to succeed. Without this support, the disparities between the wealthy and impoverished districts would grow exponentially. Rural schools in states like Mississippi or West Virginia, where budgets are already stretched thin, often rely on federal funding to provide necessities like textbooks, computers, and internet access. Without federal aid, such schools would struggle to function, while wealthier districts funded by higher local tax revenues would continue to thrive, creating an education system where only the privileged excel. Imagine a child in a low income neighborhood struggling to keep up in a classroom with outdated material where teachers are stretched too thin to provide individual attention. Without federal support, that child's potential may never be realized. The Department of Education also enforces policies promoting diversity and inclusion, such as the Every Student Succeeds Act, which closes achievement gaps across racial and socioeconomic lines. Removing federal oversight gaps and risks a return to segregated and inequitable school systems where minority students are disproportionately disadvantaged. This systemic inequity would not only harm individual students, but would also perpetuate cycles of poverty, the American dream, the belief that success is achievable through hard work. The second critical consequence of dismantling the Department of Education is the long term economic fallout. Education is not merely a means to individual success, it is the backbone of national prosperity. A long and a strong education system prepares students for the workforce, driving innovation, productivity, and growth. Without federal oversight, the nation would face a crisis of unpreparedness, leaving workforce ill equipped to meet future demands. The Economic Policy Institute highlights the strong correlation between educational attainment and earning potential. High school dropouts, for instance, earn an average of $19,000 less annually than those with a college degree. Education is not just an individual benefit, it is a societal investment. A well educated workforce contributes to economic stability, while a poorly educated one hinders growth. If the Department of Education were dismantled, the skill gap in US would worsen. According to the US Chamber of Commerce, 40% of businesses report difficulty finding qualified workers, particularly in high demand fields like technology, healthcare, and manufacturing. So, without federal guidance, the gap between the skilled employers' needs and the skilled worker poses would grow, stifling innovation and weakening the nation's competitive edge globally. International comparisons underscore the risks of falling behind. The Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development reports that U.S. students already perform below average in math, science, and reading compared to peers in developed nations. Countries like China and South Korea have heavily invested in education, recognizing it as a driver of economic success. With the Department of Education, the United States would lack the oversight needed to keep students competitive, leading to a weaker economy and diminished global standings. Moreover, a poorly educated population places a greater strain on social safety nets. Studies show that individuals with lower education levels are more likely to rely on public assistance, increasing taxpayer burdens. Lower educational attainment is also associated with higher incarceration rates, while further strain resources. Failing to invest in educational limits individual opportunities and create long term societal costs. Education is the foundation of economic mobility and national prosperity. Dismantling the Department of Education would sabotage this foundation, leaving the nation unprepared for the challenges of a rapid changing world. It would mean fewer skilled workers, slower innovation, and a weaker economy. So, in conclusion, the United States Department of Justice is not just an administrative body, it is a lifeline for millions of students and a pillar of national strength. Education is the cornerstone of opportunity and progress, and for the sake of our children, economy, and the future, the department must remain a vital part of our national infrastructure. Thank you.